Hello and welcome again. Today I'm making Trini Dhal. Unlike my previous episode, this recipe requires very little technical skill as practically everything is done in a pressure cooker. Conventional pressure cookers give me the creeps, so I'm using my Instant Pot. I've already set it up with 2.5 cups of water, and to that I'm adding a half cup of dhal, which I have thoroughly washed in a strainer. Next in goes 1 small onion, 1 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and a pinch of red pepper flakes. I'm using scorpion pepper flakes, but you can tailor that to your preference. Give everything a decent mix, cover and set on high pressure for 45 minutes. Okay, here comes the only part of this dish that requires care and caution. We have to fry some garlic and cumin seeds. The traditional way of doing this involves using a steel ladle over direct heat. I personally prefer this wide, flatter spoon because it gives more surface area for things to spread out. That way the garlic doesn't clump together. I'm using about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil and 1 large clove of garlic, thinly sliced, Goodfellas style. Next in goes a 1/4 teaspoon of whole cumin seeds. Bring the heat on medium to low and watch this carefully. As the garlic begins to fry, you'll notice why it's a good idea not to overfill this spoon. I've learned that the hard way. As much as possible, I'd like this mixture to brown evenly, so you can very carefully give it a push with a dry spoon. This just takes a few minutes, and I recommend doing this when the pressure cooking is more or less done. As you can see, I went fairly dark on the roast here, and I encourage you to try different degrees of browning to determine the flavor you like. This step is a major influencer in the flavor of the overall dish, so it's important to try a couple different ways so you can better appreciate how to control that roasted garlic taste. Now that the dhal is properly soft, it's time to blend. Some people prefer it a bit chunky, but I don't. I like to use the immersion blender until it's a silky smooth homogeneous mixture. As you start blending, you'll notice a lot of foam coming out. That's perfectly normal and it'll go away after a few minutes of resting. Also, on the topic of resting, keep in mind that dhal thickens significantly as it cools. I've spent a lot of time over the years working out that 2.5 cups of water to a half cup of dhal gives me this consistency. However, you're perfectly free to add or reduce the amount of water based on your preference. For me though, a good indicator is when cooled and poured over rice, the dhal should stay with the rice, not sink through and run all over the plate. Next, check for seasoning. In this case, I felt like it needed a little more black pepper. Finally, add the spoon of garlic and mix thoroughly. One last thing I'd like to point out. Notice the brown wispy hue surrounding each slice of garlic? That's all the flavor that's slowly seeping into the mix. This is why stews of every kind taste better when allowed to properly cool and rest, and why they usually taste better the next day. So once again, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Take care and keep safe.